Well, welcome everybody to a Your Stories Matters conversation. We have Theresa back here today. Theresa was here not that long ago and did a spotlight coaching session with us. So if you haven't checked it out yet, definitely go and check it out because she takes us into discovering your essence in the path to your deeper calling. It was a fabulous conversation. So if you haven't checked it out yet, definitely go check it out. You'll get some really great tips and ideas as to how you feel comfortable in your clothes and what all the different alignments, I guess is the word as I'm thinking of in my head, of how we kind of gravitate to certain things. And she has amazing knowledge of helping you have some understanding in that realm. But I'm not going to give it all away. I want you to go check it out. So go take a look now, or after we watch our Your Story conversation. Theresa's here and she's going to share how she spent most of her life trying to be more like everyone else, hiding her creativity and her true gifts. She is now living in alignment with her unique design and making money doing work that she loves. Theresa is here. So Theresa, tell us, when did you realize that you had to make a shift, and what steps did you start to take to step into being your authentic self? Because that's a struggle for a lot of people, right? Like,
Right. Yeah, no small task, right, Stacy?
no, it's usually like we're kicking and screaming. It's like we want to, but then the world tells us that all these other different myths or disinformation, because that's a favorite word these days, right? So we kind of gravitate to these ideals that we're supposed to be like X, Y, and Z, but we lose the essence of who we are in the process. So tell us the
Absolutely.
journey that brought you to this space.
Thank you so much for letting me share my story. Yes, so I think, like many women I know in their late 30s, early 40s, there is this awakening that happens, in my estimation. I was 40 at the time, and I think I just woke up to the fact that I had largely been living my life based on everyone else's good opinions and advice and programming, as I think of it, about what makes a successful woman, how I should be living in the world. And I was a corporate powerhouse. I mean, I was a high-level leader in corporate America, but I had no joy. And I woke up feeling so incredibly empty inside. It was like, is this all there is? I mean, I really was asking that question both in my marriage and in my work, like, is this it? Because this is kind of painful. I
What's the fizzle?
hope there's more. Ouch. Yeah. And I think a part of that journey was sort of for me anyway, I could get a lot done and just keep going, but I was stuffing emotions, pushing who I really was down. And in particular in corporate, I worked in healthcare. I'm a nurse by first training. It's a lot about being of service to everyone else. So that's really encouraged. And it's also a lot about, of course, this is all part of business, bottom lines, and like getting doctors to do things they don't want to do. And like some really challenging conversations and work that I can do because I have a high sense of responsibility in achieving. But actually, underneath it all, I'm just kind of a creative and a heartfelt human being who is very sensitive and empathic. And so I was using none of that really in my work. I was just grinding and being productive and doing the more what some might call the masculine way of doing business, right? Which is a lot of what's encouraged out in the world, like just grind from dawn till dusk and get more done and outcomes, outcomes, outcomes.
Yeah.
um, and I think that journey is what really, it was a combination of things. I really just got so empty inside. It was like, something's not right. I don't know what's not right. Maybe it's just turning 40. I mean, really, it was a strange time in my life. And I'd gone through a divorce 5 years earlier. So, there were a combination of things that led to that moment. But I think it was in that moment that I asked myself, really, how do I want to live my life? And what does really matter to me? And I think, not that I had never asked myself before, but I think I asked it with a new intensity or a new like commitment to myself that I'd never been able to find before. So that's where I'll stop and invite you in.
That commitment to yourself, that is a powerful thought, because we often will commit to every, like you said, like we're here to serve and to be of service to everybody around us, and including in our workspace. But to commit to ourselves and to our own personal goals and wellness journey and agendas, like we have all these different ideas going on in our head. But then I know for my own self, I'm like, nah, I don't have time for that. That's going to interfere with my expectation or my service in this area, or so I'm not going to be able to take that on. Like I know I wrestled with that for a long time myself coming into the coaching realm, because we also have an accounting firm, and I'm like, I can't step into this fully because I have to make sure my husband's supported, and the girls weren't quite up to that space yet to be able to serve him at that level. And I was like, I just can't. For years I was in that space. And then it just got to the point where it started to make me physically ill. Did you find the same thing?
Yeah, thanks for saying that, Stacy. I don't know about physically ill, but I think sort of lackluster. That's what I'll say. I wasn't necessarily having new physical symptoms, but I was very lackluster. And I think more than anything, my mental health is where it showed up for me, where I just couldn't find the motivation and couldn't really get excited about much in my life. And I was kind of like, oh, so for me, it was
Yeah.
that way. But yours was physical, which is often common, right? Like our body is so wise, it will show us what's out of alignment.
Yeah, I'd get anxious and feel like throwing up all my way into the office. I'm like, why do I feel this way? Like, this is my team. This is what we've been doing for the last 18 years. Like, why do I feel this way? and and then I just had a cry session with my husband. I'm like, this is killing me. Like, I love working with you and I love what we've built together. And it was a matter of communicating that with my husband, because we work together. We've built this business together. And all of a sudden I'm like, I went out. and how does that make him feel, right? Like then it was that whole conversation, like, how is this going to affect our marriage? How is this going to affect us spending time together? Because if I'm at home all day long and he's at the office all day long, we didn't have that same lunch dates and the same, that was like his big things. It's like, we're not going to be able to do our date on Wednesdays. And I'm like, well, I'm sorry, but this is killing me. Like, I can't keep going like this. If you want me to be intimate and like be wild in bed, let's be real. Like, if you want me to have the energy and
Right?
intimacy, then I need to make this change for my mental health. Otherwise, I'm just pure exhausted and I ain't got no time for nothing. So
Yeah. Beautiful. And wow, it sounds like in your own way, you made a commitment to yourself in that moment, which the stakes were so high for you, right? Like your marriage is involved, your work life, every facet is involved when you made that decision. But
yeah.
I think what you said that stood out to me is that sort of we come to a moment, and I experienced it in different language, where our spirits are just screaming, like, if something doesn't change, I felt like I was going to die inside. And when you were
Mm.
talking, I heard that same sort of desperation, like, if something doesn't change, I literally feel like I'm going to die inside, right?
Right. So being in the nursing industry and then coming into this space, that must have been a bit of a shift for you as well.
Yeah, well, interestingly, yes, for sure, Stacy. And interestingly, I've been walking two worlds for a long time. So yes, I've been a nurse for a long time, but also when I was 23, I was rear-ended by a semi, and I actually think it's one of the best gifts I've ever been given, though no one would, you wouldn't sign up for it. Dear God, please make
Right.
sure I get a semi when I'm 23. Having said that, though, it led me on a path to learn about integrative medicine. And so all along, even though I was a new young nurse and I was dealing with extreme pain and trying to do my work, I was learning about energy healing and breath work and stress management. Like I just went on this journey of learning about all these integrative and holistic modalities. And as a result of that, I always was sort of in both worlds where even if it was just a little bit in the evening or on weekends, I was doing work in both worlds. So yes, it was a big change. Yes, I still do both. I have just found that I'm doing work that allows me to really use all of the best of my gifts and in particular my creativity. And for a period of time, it was shocking because I was so afraid that people would not take me seriously, that I wouldn't be responsible enough. Like all of these old programs about what makes me successful had to be questioned. Like, oh, what if I give for 2 years, maybe? I think it was 2 years. My business was called Closeted Creatives Coaching because I was coaching creatives who were sort of stuffing their creativity, no surprise, and
Mhm.
giving presentations out in the world about creativity and how it works. And for sure thought I literally kind of was waiting to be cast out, waiting to be struck by lightning or something because it was so opposite of how I'd operated. So I'm just going to pause there. But I think, yes, to answer your question.
It's that whole like, what do they call that? Where you pretend to be like, when you, what is that phrase? It's just like the imposter syndrome, right? Where you feel
Yes,
like,
yes,
yes, you want so badly to unlock your own closet creative, and you're trying to teach it so that you can grow it and expand in that area. But then you're like, who am I? Who am I? Right?
right?
It's like even
Yeah, it's
me,
so raw.
space too. Like I created this space selfishly for my own need. I wanted a one-stop shop, basically a place where I can continue to grow and connect with others because I love community, and to also to nourish my mind, body, and soul. And I wrestle with exercising regularly. I know what to eat and what not to eat, but I still wrestle in that realm. and and these are all struggles that I personally have along my journey. And then so I'm like, I need to be able to provide these tools. And I do provide these tools. I need to use these tools myself. So then I've fallen into that same space of just that imposter syndrome of like, who are you to be providing this content and creating this content if you can't even, use it yourself? And I'm like, okay, you start wrestling with your own internal, it's a whole internal battle thing that we got going on.
Absolutely. It's beautifully demonstrated too, Stacy. When you were saying that, I'm like, oh, I'm thinking of my friend Jessica, and she's an artist who happens to live in Prague. And she talked about, the bigger she got as an artist, how her inner critic just got louder and louder. And so one day she went to a local appliance shop and just got this giant box, like a refrigerator box or something, I don't know. And every time her inner critic kicked in, she would get inside the box, get out a marker, and just write everything it was thinking until it was exhausted. And I think the reason I bring that up is as I was listening to you and I'm thinking of myself and women in general, this imposter syndrome is often where we stop, right? Like it's like it gets so scary, like, oh, I have no right to do this, da da da, and then we sort of shut down and pull back and get invisible versus leaning into it and being super curious. I mean, what she taught me in that moment, I've never forgotten her story. And I heard it in 2016, so many years ago by now, 6, is that there are moments we have to, as women, and we're not taught this. So I think it's so important. We have to be willing to lean into those scary places and get real with ourselves and be willing to hear the baloney so we can just get through it. It's like a rite of passage in my mind, part of the initiation into our next level. And I think it's especially true when we follow our deeper calling, what's really true for us, because there's going to be so much programming that's wanting to keep us safe and small and, in the package that most people are comfortable with us being in. And we really have to move through that. And that's the hard work I love to help women do, because that unlearning all the betraying behaviors is really where the power is as we
Mhm.
move and grow.
And I truly believe that women in today's world are being stretched and pulled in mighty ways for a reason. I believe that we have like this superpower, like that, not like we have to do all things, because we can delegate, we can align ourselves with community and come alongside and help each other out throughout these different seasons of life. But I believe that us women have a special gift to bring to the world. And the more we suppress ourselves, the less impact we're going to have. So we have to break through some of those ideals that we've come and adopted onto our own selves. And maybe we even project them unconsciously to others because of our own personal insecurities, right? Like, you really, like, you think that, you know, I've had people say that to me, like, oh, you are a big dreamer, Stacy, like, good luck. And I think that's my special gift, is being a big dreamer, and I've owned it, right? There was just quickly, a story is coming to mind, is like,
Yeah.
we moved to our acreage. I actually had a physical dream that my hair was a certain length, and somebody was handing me keys to our new house that was on an acreage. I believed that dream so to my core that I started packing my house up 3 years before we moved. And I was like, we're doing this, we're moving. And so literally it got to the third year, and I started to like having to unpack stuff, because I'm like, oh, I kind of need that. I had packed up
That is
my whole
amazing.
house. I was just walking in faith, and I was like, oh, no, we are moving. When my hair, I even got extensions to think I could fast track the thing. Like, did not work, but my hair is super long and I refuse to cut it.
Well, it's part of your vision. So you stepped into it. That's beautiful. And isn't that important? I think that's when I think about women, and I don't need to get intellectual, but there's a part of me that feels like there's so much good wisdom that I've learned from my spiritual teachers and healers about sage women, which I'm not quite there yet, but I'm quickly approaching 50. So my time is coming. But in that last part of our life where we get to claim our wisdom and our, I want women to be doing it sooner. That's my point in saying that. But really, this invitation that we can do hard things, that it's not that we're not interdependent, because actually that's one of our gifts. It's that ability to collaborate and care and want to approach things to nurture. But we can also be fierce, and we can also be hardcore when we need to, and we can know what our boundaries are, and all of that's feminine. Like, I just want women to hold the fullness of that more divine, full feminine, versus I feel like we've been taught, this is my opinion and I own it, that if I'm cute and small and pretty and only ever say nice things, and am ready in the bedroom when the man wants me to be, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, then I am good enough. But every woman is different, and their mission is different, and how they're wired is different. And so it's so limiting. Anyway, I just feel this call to really help women expand into who they truly are, what they're really called to contribute to this world, et cetera. There's just so much. And I agree. It's part of the shifting of this time in our evolution as humans.
Yeah, and I love how you want to unlock that in women at a much younger age, because I've turned 45 this year, and I'm like, if I can know what I know today 20 years ago, it would have saved me a whole lot of grudging.
Right?
So true.
Totally.
Unlock that younger generation, because they're the ones that are going to be ruling this world. Like, they're going to take over and dominate, but they have to have that essence and confidence within themselves to be able to step into their superpowers, like to their giftings, and whatever that may be. And if creativity, that's the thing around creativity, and I love how you've stepped into this space within your own business, is a lot of people will look at, oh, you're just a creative, you're never going to make money from that, or you're never going to be successful, or that's just a pipe dream, like that's just a hobby, So
Right.
just speak on that, just for the creatives that are in this space of like, how, did you wrestle with any of those ideals, like, of being a creative?
Yeah, and thanks, Stacy, for picking that out. And yes, to everyone out there who's a creative, yes, it's hard. It's easy for us to believe. I think it's part of the patriarchy that we live within, that what's valued is productivity and this really responsible, serious work. But I think about, Biden's inauguration, and that poet, Amanda, reading her I mean, I was moved to tears, the beauty of it, the thoughtfulness, the timeliness of the message. Orators and others have changed the direction of communities for generations and for thousands of years. And so we have lost our way. And I think when I look out into the world to all the creatives out there, I think that people who are not connected to their innate creativity and whatever that looks like, some of the most creative people I know are not doing creative things like me doing style or me. I'm also an artist and someone who loves to sing, but people who are advocating for causes they believe in, or like you, just redesigning your life and saying, this is what I want for other women, living out this mission, that's just as creative. And so I think it's, again, just owning that uniqueness and owning our part in it and trusting that it has just as much value. This is where the healing of the womanhood is happening anyway. Like the softer skills are not as needed. Actually, that's why we're seeing systems crumble, because they've been overlooked for too long. And we have to get back in balance. We need both.
So true.
So that's what I would say to the creatives out there.
So when you just quickly, as we're kind of like finishing up, closing out our conversation, is just when you came into this space and made that shift, what was it like that made that concrete, where you finally felt like you were standing on solid ground and be like, yes, you put your hands on your hips, you're like, this is what I'm doing, with like boldness, and just taking that rhino to the China shop.
I love it. Oh, what a great question. Yeah. So Stacy, first I would say, I went on a pilgrimage, obviously for my own personal development, but it happened for me. I was in France. I went over there for a 3-day intensive. I had never traveled abroad. So I was petrified, let me tell you. And I called my friend on the airplane while getting ready to like lift off. Like, I don't think I can do this. I'm ready to get off the right, all the stuff, because it was so overwhelming. And here I was going alone on this 9-hour flight to France. What was I doing? I had no idea. But I met Eugenie, who's my mentor and taught me the style work. And she was 6 feet tall and so confident. And just that coaching over those 3 days, it ended with a photo shoot to my tastes. I mean, she taught me, I think what really did it is she taught me my essence and who I was at the deepest level over and over again. Every decision we made, she had like places where we would eat lunch and she had booked the table, but not the food. And it was just like, at your deepest essence, what are you really feeling you want to do? And it was over and over in those 3 days. And it was like, this is what is possible when I trust that inner knowing. And I think that's when I really made the shift. And that was about 5 or 6 years ago. I was trying to do the math, about 6 years ago this summer.
Wow, that's awesome. So just quickly tell, because if anybody here hasn't seen your Spotlight Coach conversation, just brag about yourself a little bit in the service that you provide, and then how they can reach out to you and tap into some of your gifts that you're giving back to the world.
Oh, thank you, Stacy. Yes. So I do a number of things, but really my work is called soul alignment design, because I want people to live from their essence. So I do style work. I have some VIP things that I do. That's like a 2-hour intensive where we really get to know your essence. And then you go to your closet and I help you create 5 outfits from what you already have, so that you not only know your essence, but reinforce it in that 2 hours. And then also I do what I call the essence brand makeover. First, same couple steps, and then just adding, if you're someone who's trying to figure out what your brand is in the world, once you're in your essence and you know it intimately, we ask questions like, who's my ideal client? And it just falls out of the sky because you're so aligned. It's beautiful. And then I also do a 6-month program with women called, Your Deeper Calling Intensive. And it's really about the deeper work of shifting from who you've thought you had to be to who you really want to be, and letting go of all the betraying you've done along the way. So that's a quick overview of how to do that with me. Love to work with women and empower women.
Love it. So how do they reach you, get in contact with you to sign up? Like, come into my closet, Theresa. Tell me what I can check out. Yes. That's one of my next projects in my
Love that.
year.
Okay, let me know. That would be so much fun. Yes, so you can reach me at Theresa@yourdeepercalling.com or my website, yourdeepercalling.com. And in my shop are all the magical options for how we can work together.
Oh,
And I will be sharing, Stacy, a gift certificate. So I want to make sure your audience knows, please use the gift certificate so you can get a
yes.
discount.
Discounts are always fabulous. So get gifts wherever we can. That's a big boy.
I was going to say, and you just heard my big Seamus, who is 90 pounds of dog. I'm so sorry.
Oh, don't be sorry. I love fur babies, but he's not the lap dog.
No.
We have two Shepherd Heeler Roddy Cross, and they're about 70 pounds. They're a little overweight because they get spoiled. And then I have 5 cats and 5 kittens right now. So they're all outside. They're all out in my garage, thankfully. Otherwise, my house would be like trashed. But we love the acreage for that. Sort of the dogs.
You bet.
Well, sorry to totally sidestep there, but so thank you ever so very much for coming and sharing your story today. And be sure I'll put your website here in the video, so make sure you go to Theresa's website, access any of the different programs and services that she offers. And she has graciously given us a gift certificate that we will also highlight here for you so that you can take advantage of some yeah. Why am I having a brain fart? It's so easy just to say, like, just a little bit less off your ticket, right? Like, oh my word. Good. Oh, Monday. Oh my word.
It's Monday. It's a manic Monday, right?
Oh, I missed that song. I'm gonna have to look that song up.
I was thinking it.
It just, like, certain words just trigger those oldies that are just like they'll never die, right? Love them.
That's one of them, isn't it?
It
yes.
Surely is. I think I had that one on replay when it came out.
Me too.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you again, Theresa. I very much appreciate you coming back and sharing your story with us. I love you to bits. You're just so genuine. I love it.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Stacy. It's such an honor to be with you and your audience. Thank you so much.
Thank you.